Hi, I'm Jill. I'm a dollhouse miniaturist of 30 years, and I started this channel to show people how I meet miniature dollhouse challenges. So let's go and see what I'm up to today. So today in the studio, it's all about hedgehogs and it's all about slug pies. And so I will take you over to the workshop and we'll start off with hedgehogs. Firstly, I'd like to show you what I've actually got to start with when I'm making my little hedgehogs. I've made their basic shapes out of a air dry clay. It's quite light and you can actually carve it or cut it. And then I found another paintbrush. I must admit it's a bit better than the other one, but I'll have to just sacrifice it. I haven't got a small one. And then I need a pair of scissors and I need some tacky glue. So basically I'm going to cut quite short bristles and I'm going to glue along the edge of it and I will stick them on this little shape. So I'm just going to show you a little bit here. Fairly short, about a centimetre. Keep it between my thumb and my finger. Do a little line of glue along there. And then I'm starting at its bottom where it's sitting and I'm just putting them in like that and they stick there, they stay there. It doesn't take long for that glue to dry and then I just carry on. So another little lot, about a centimetre. I'll probably have to trim them when I've finished. I'm putting them straight. I'm not doing it on an angle. I'm doing it straight. And then when you've done that, you can just push the bristles a little bit so they part. So they become a bit more even. Very easy to do. Just time consuming. I mean, it took me about almost a full day to do the adult hedgehog. And you can see how long it's taking me to do this. And so I'm not going to have you sitting here watching me do this for a whole day, but just to see how it works. So that tacky glue is holding it in place quite well. And I'll just carry on. I have made their little noses and their eyes out of Fimo, and they'll be glued on at the end. Another little bit there. I'll just show you the second row so you can see how it overlaps. This poor paintbrush. I feel a bit guilty about this one. So straight on top of the next layer. So you can see how it goes and how fiddly it is and how time consuming it is. But the effect's worth it because they will look quite genuinely like little hedgehogs when I've finished. And so now we have a little snippet of my progress with the baby hedgehog. So you can see there's a few more bristles there. And I'll come back to this when I've done a little bit more. Just a little catch up on what's happening with the baby hedgehogs. There's one already done. And now I'm just doing the other little guy. A little catch up on my small hedgehog. I'm approaching the face and I'm starting to use shorter little brushes. And next I'll glue the eyes and the ears on so I can work out how I'm going to do the rest of his bristles. I'm starting to do them laying back away from his face. And it's going to be a bit of a trick to make sure he just doesn't look like any old common brush left lying around. He's going to have a little pink nose and that should make him stand out a bit. So quite a few hours later, I finished baby number 2. And he will, or she, I think it might be a she this one, will be going to join her parents and her sibling. So it's taken me about 4 hours, I suppose, to make 2 little baby hedgehogs. So there we go. So now we've got our little house pretty much set up, and I've got the table set for Christmas lunch. And I think I don't know whether it's a male hedgehog or a female hedgehog, but we'll have to make her a mother, I think. She's standing there waiting for everybody to come and eat. And the little hedgehogs, which are finished, babies, are ready to go in there. And so I think that it's come up really nicely. This little guy goes over the back. He's got a little white chest like his mum. And he's looking at her. And this little guy, oops, oh, you didn't see that, is here. And I'll just get the little plates back in. Right, there we go. So that's pretty much how I envisaged it. I'm really happy with that. And now we have to tackle how I made the slug pie. So I've collected a few things to make my slug pie. I've got some Fimo, which I didn't have any nice kind of pastry sort of coloured stuff. So I've used what I've got in my stash, which is kind of coppery-ish. But when it's baked, it'll look good. And I've got some black Fimo to make my slugs. And I think that slug pie has to have a green sauce. So I'm going to make a green sauce from Sculpey and some dye to put in a jug. Now, all these things that I'm going to be doing, it all has to be baked in the oven. And so whatever I'm using has to take a bit of heat. All right, so I'll put my green sauce in here, and that should be able to be baked in the oven, no problem. For my pie, I've got a beer bottle cap, and these make really good pie dishes. I had to get my husband to open one specially, but now it has got, I've just noticed, a little plastic seal in here, and I wouldn't be able to do this in the oven because it would melt. So you have to make sure it doesn't have a little seal in it. That was well spotted because that would have spoilt my work. So what I'm going to do for the base is I'm going to just use this to cut out my base because it'll be the right size. And I'll just keep it in there. Very handy, really, wasn't it? And then I have got a roller for my Fimo, but I've lost it. It's somewhere. We're losing things every day in this house. I don't know if it's because we've got more absent-minded or what the story is, but there's a few whiskers in there from the paintbrush. Put those on the bottom. And so I'll cut a top for it as well. I'll just get it in here, only just. So now I've got my pie top and my pie bottom. Now, I've never made slug pie, strange as it may seem, and I couldn't find a recipe for it. So I've had to make up my own. Now, I know what slugs look like because I see them on my lettuces. And so these are kind of hedgehoggy slugs. They've got to be relatively, well, a good size, not fiddly. So we're going to make some little black slugs. Got blade. Probably about there, round them off a bit. That looks a bit like a slug. They're probably a bit better actually. That might be a bit smaller. Now, I don't know if any of you know about stargazy pies, and they used to be pies made in England where they had slits cutting the crust in a little, and it'll be a fish pie, and they have a little fish head poking up out of the slit, gazing at the stars. So that was why it was called stargazing pies, stargazy pies. So this might be a slug gazing pie. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do that or not, but I'm going to put some in the middle anyway to give it a bit of body. It's not a bad idea, is it? Slug gazing pie. And so we'll make this one a bit better so I'm not forever making slugs. A slight bend in them. They always had a slight bend in them. That one looks like it could sit up and poke its head out. Yes, I think we'll have a slug gazing pie. A slug stargazing pie. And so you have to have a green sauce to go with it. And I'm going to make the green sauce. Put another decent sized slug. I'll do 3, I think. The things we find ourselves making. Amazing, isn't it? I'll pop him in here because he's fat. Take a bit of space up. Give some shape. A bit more. Oh, I've got to sit some up, don't I? Well, I think I'll cheat with that. You didn't hear me say cheat. Right, so that's my slugs in the pie. And then I'll have the top over it. And I'll just, where's my tool? I haven't found my tool. I'll use a toothpick. Just going to poke that in there a bit. That doesn't look bad, does it? Okay, so now I'm going to make some slug heads. And I know slugs have probably got, I don't know if they've got eyes and noses because I've never really looked at one closely. But I'll put little eyes on this one. And I'm just going to use a little bit of Sculpey, liquid Sculpey, because it gives a sticky little binding agent for my heads so that they stay on the pie when it bakes and they don't come off. I'm just going to put 3 on here. And you've got maybe that's a bit big. First time ever seen on TV. A slug stargazy pie. Okay, now because it's a Christmas pie, I think it has to have a little bit of Christmas colour on it. So I'm going to put a little bit of green and a bit of red on it. Just a tiny weeny bit. I'll cut some little green leaves. Should have had this in my bra, getting nice and hot. So I've just made an oval, cut it in half, because we don't need big stuff. Have another one. These are little leaves. So I'm going to put a little garnish here. Oh, I forgot my Sculpey. Let me just put a little bit on that. Just here. That'll do it. Might put a little bit over here. This is just to stop the decoration from falling off when it's baked. Okay, a little bit here. Oh, that looks like a leaf. Okay, now we need tiny little berries. Bit more Sculpey on that. These are very small berries. Right, so a bit of Christmas decoration on there. So that'll be ready to be baked. Now, with the green sauce, I'm going to just mix up a little bit of Sculpey, liquid Sculpey. Mine's getting really gluggy, I have to say. It's not very good. I've been naughty because I leave the lid off. And I'm going to put a bit of green dye on there. This is just alcohol-based dyes. They're good for adding to Fimo or what is it? It's resin. That's a pretty dark green sauce, but it's not bad. Now, I haven't really probably got enough. Some more jelly. Okay. That's probably all right. Just to fill that jug up a little bit, I'm just going to put a bit of Fimo in the bottom of it. It'll just bake. I just want to add a bit of volume. So you don't know about this, you didn't see this. Oops. Oh, good. Now, that's good. So now I'm just, and it's Fimo, so it'll bake at the same temperature as this. Sorry, I'll try and do it so you can see. This is my green sauce for the slug pie. I don't want to get it over the jug if I can help it. Okay, I'm getting there. It's very sticky. Okay, I need a little spoon, don't I? Getting there. All good sauces take time to make. Right. I'm going to have to try and get more out. What have I got? There we go. I'll see how this bakes up, and if it doesn't bake up to look like enough, I'll make some more. It's my fault. My sins are coming back to haunt me because I didn't put the lid on it. There we go. Okay, that looks suitably green saucy. Now, I've got slug stargazy pie with green sauce. And I was thinking, you know how they hang pheasants in English kitchens? Maybe hedgehogs could hang cicadas for later eating, but I think that might be a bit much for my talents. But I was thinking about it. I was thinking I have to stop thinking about this because this is getting really weird. So I shall put those in the oven and bake them for about 10 minutes, should be enough, and then I can show you it all finished. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's been fun. It's been fun putting the hedgehog house together and making the hedgehogs. That was a learning curve. And now I'll be back to doing my Tudor house. And if I get a wriggle on, I might even be able to get a Christmas theme going in the Tudor house. So I shall see you tomorrow.